further now, and we speak to ANC National Spokesperson Mahlengi Bhengu, who joins us from the venue of that NGC. Good evening to you, Ms. Bhengu, and thank you for your time. Very briefly, for viewers who may not understand what the ANC's National General Council is and what its purpose is about, can you tell us briefly what this gathering really is for?
Thank you very much for having us, Polly. Let me just indicate that the National General Council of the ANC is codified in our constitution, is often referred to as a mid-term review of the progress, successes, challenges, and achievements that are being made to fulfill the resolutions taken by the previous conference, and to ensure that by the time you go to the next conference, you have a full set of facts about your performance organizationally, in government, in the economy, on the international front. So it basically is a moment that takes place between the 5 years, often somewhere 2.5 years, where we do that review. And this is such a meeting that is taking place from tomorrow to the 8th of December.
All right. If you were to put aside all of the matters that have to do with internal matters that affect the ANC, whether it be the salary issues to succession, what are the key issues that you deem important to be discussed at this conference? What is it that the viewer can walk away with and say, all right, I have a clear understanding of what the ANC is going to deal with, particularly matters concerning the country?
Yes, if I may just highlight them in no particular order. Fixing governance more broadly, looking at the current state of the government of national unity and overall governance of our country, looking at the state of judicial institutions, looking at the work of parliament and how all of these come together to ensure that what is contained in the Bill of Rights is indeed, we're advancing in that particular direction. And so the area of governance is going to be one of the central focuses of the discussion. Then we look at the issues of service delivery and the meeting of basic needs. And here with a very strong focus on the state of local government. And there would obviously be different touch points when we discuss the state of local government, given the fact that the ANC had a roll call where we assembled all our councillors and provided marching orders that was done by the president, and which resulted in a local government action plan that is now being rolled out in municipalities that are led by the ANC. We've already seen some green shoots in as far as that is concerned in various parts of our country. There tends to be a focus on Joburg only. Joburg is also turning the tide, but there are a number of other municipalities that are implementing the local government action plan. So we're going to review that work through reviewing the provincial reports, because in this midterm report, you also have a very comprehensive outline of the work of provinces, which of the from membership all the way to campaigns, all the way to the state of governance in each province.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that are going to be ventilated. The other one is the direction of our economy and whether the drivers for inclusive economic growth are being activated. We have a 10-point plan that seeks to basically practicalize the economic policy, and that speaks to, for example, in the area of trade, that speaks to finding alternative markets over and above the markets that we have.
Yeah.
That speaks to local economic development, LED strategy for all of local government. And I could go on and on about those matters that are contained in our economic plan. So those things are going to be presented and reviewed. They're all contained anyway in the base documents that was used by our branches, our regions, and our provinces when they held branch meetings, as well as the provincial general councils and provincial consultations that took place ahead of this NGC.
Yeah.
It will be the first time that you have a National General Council that has been preceded by a very wide-ranging process of robust engagement with a document that we did unveil to yourselves, members of the media, which is the base document. That's our main Bible that has basically anchored the discussions around the National General Council. So I highlighted matters that have to do with the economy, matters that have to do with local government, and of course, matters that are endogenous to the organization, such as looking at the overall state of the ANC and identifying our weaknesses and talking about what it is that we are doing to address that,
Okay.
looking at whether the program of renewal is going somewhere. And interestingly, there is a lot of data that will be shared that demonstrates very tangible results in as far as taking the renewal program forward. So those are just some of the things that we are going to be talking about. We're also going to be talking about the rebuilding of the ANC, making sure that the ANC reconnects with society, and making sure that the ANC cleanses itself from elements that undermine its name and character and its historical vision.
Okay. All right. Allow me to get into what you started off as a list of priorities. Fixing governance, you said, more broadly, and in particular service delivery. And that takes us to the local government space. And interestingly, your conference, your NGC meeting, it takes place in the city of Ekurhuleni. And tonight, we speak with Brakpan, the community members there. They are about to hold a vigil for the slain former Ekurhuleni Metro officer who had since become a security guard. He was running his own security firm. But the reason he's important and why he's being spoken about is that he testified at the Madlanga inquiry. And key among the issues was the disposal of a body of a person who was being interrogated by the police. And I don't want to get into any detail, but basically he implicated the man who's currently on suspension in that municipality, and that is the deputy chief of the Metro Police there, Mr. Julius Mkhwanazi. Are you at all shocked about the rot that is coming out of the city of Ekurhuleni, and what are you going to do to fix such things?
Well, you know, the term, to use the word shocked, suggests that you are divorced from the lived reality of many South Africans. I would say that it's less of a shock, but it is disappointing. Of course, the extent of it that has been now unleashed through the work of the Madlanga Commission, which was set up by the president, precisely because we've taken a decision that the days of talking about anti-corruption measures and talking about it and actually not doing much about it, or not being seen to be doing much about it, those days are over. And indeed, we have to condole with the community and all the communities that are affected by crime and corruption, including those from Salisbury, including Mr. Van der Merwe. We did issue a statement earlier on condoling with the family. But what this means, Xoli, is that indeed, even the grind against corruption is now moving very swiftly. And we've been consistent in saying that this commission was not set up for the sake of satisfying or giving some kind of a facade of attention to corruption in our country. The expectation is that exactly what is being unveiled by the Madlanga Commission must be followed through, must ensure that just as the first phase report is going to be handed over to the president, that action is taken on cases that indeed there is a clear case of action needing to be taken. I must hasten to add, though, that the Ekurhuleni executive mayor has actually done quite a lot to act on matters of corruption, including the suspension of Julius Mkhwanazi, including a number of people that have had letters of suspension handed down to them. There is a clear fight against corruption in Ekurhuleni, judging by the reportage that we get daily about the work that is being done under the leadership of Dr. Kagaza. So I think that it's an answer to you is the fact that this work is being attended to thoroughly. And so that is why those that have things to hide are going to be committing acts of this nature, such as what has happened to Mr. Van der Merwe, otherwise known as Witness D at the Mahlengi Commission. We're satisfied with the work that Ekurhuleni municipality is doing to rid itself of elements that undermine governance, that also that redirect resources that are meant for our communities to their own pockets.
All right. Allow me to perhaps end the conversation on this very score, because while the community of Brakpan is gripped by fear on the back of what happened on Friday night, the country at large, I would want to think it also is not only fearful, but it's angry. You mentioned moments ago the 12 people that were gunned down at one go in Salisbury at a hostel there. These are matters that are shocking. They shock the people of this country to the core. And allow me to use these two examples, because you mentioned Mr. Julius Mkhwanazi, and he has admitted to taking monies from Mr. Vusumuzi Ket Matlala. And whilst he has not taken that money, or whilst he has not admitted to basically this money being a bribe of sorts, but he says this was to help him with funeral costs when he had lost family members. You then move to Begicele, who admits before members of parliament that he benefited from the same Mr. Vusumuzi Ket Matlala from using his luxury pad. It's a flat or a penthouse. And he says he spent 2 nights there. Now, information has since come to light that Mr. Cele may have known Vusumuzi Ket Matlala a little longer than what he told members of parliament. I'm painting this picture for you, Ms. Bhengu, to come to this point, and that is that these are top officials in the security apparatus of this country. Some people are sitting tonight and saying, we are in the grips of a mafia state. Convince us that we are not. Are you able to do that?
Well, I'm not certain that the thing we should be doing is convincing. I think the actions of state institutions that are mandated to do law enforcement, the work they are doing, is speaking for itself. For the fact that these things are being outed is indicative of the fact that there is a serious fight against corruption that is currently underway. And if it proceeds in the manner in which it is taking place in our country, we can be satisfied that indeed we will make sure that we do not descend into a mafia state. The fact that the president set up this commission, including a commission that would potentially investigate his own comrades, is indicative of the commitment by government and by the ANC to root out corruption in society, in state institutions, including corporate sector corruption, by the way. So I would say to South Africans, the fight against corruption is on. And we will ask South Africans, those that have information, to share. Of course, that information always have to be tested. Any evidence has got to be tested. But we will urge our people to come forward with any information that assists the process and the work of the commission, including at a local government level. The fact that there's actions taken in Ekurhuleni, the fact that there's actions taken in other parts of South Africa fighting against corruption, at the moment it may seem to be a minuscule effort, but I think that progressively we are going to see the weight and the impact of the fight against corruption under the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa. We are wanting to fix the law enforcement and the criminal justice system in our country. And it is going to happen because we have seen it is possible. Some of the kingpins are running for cover, and those that have been taken to the commission are contradicting one another. Clearly, there are things that are being hidden, but that can no longer happen anymore from our perspective. And so we are not just sitting, we're waiting. We are working closely to reinforce the message of government. The fight against crime and corruption is on, Oli. That is what I would say.